Have you ever just stopped and wondered how the world actually works? I mean, how do we get all the things we want and need, from the coffee you drink in the morning to the phone you're probably holding right now? Well, it's all part of a huge system of trade that's been evolving for thousands of years. So today, we're going to trace it all the way back to the beginning.
Let's just kick things off with a super simple question. Have you bought anything today? Maybe a snack, a new app, a bus ticket? Of course you have. We all do it all the time without even thinking about it.
Well, believe it or not, every single time you do that, congratulations, you're participating in economics. You might not have a fancy degree, but in your day-to-day life, you're an economist.
So, what even is economics, really? Well, put simply, it's the science of how we make, sell, and use things. It's basically the whole story of our stuff. You know, who makes it, who wants it, and how it gets from one person to another. And in this big world of economics, all that stuff pretty much falls into two big buckets. On one side, you've got goods. These are the physical things you can actually see and touch, right? Like food, clothes, or a car. And on the other side, that's where you'll find services. These are things that someone does for you, like giving you a haircut or a checkup at the doctor's office or driving you somewhere in a taxi.
Okay, so to really get a grip on our modern system, we've got to jump in a time machine. Let's go way back to the original problem that every early civilization faced. How in the world do you get something that you can't make for yourself?
I mean, seriously, think about that for a second. Before there were coins, before there were dollar bills, how did anyone trade for anything? If you were a great fisherman, but you needed a new pair of shoes, what were you supposed to do? Well, the answer was a system called bartering. And this is trade in its absolute purest form, the direct exchange of goods and services. No money changing hands, just a simple swap. I'll give you these fish if you give me those shoes. And for literally thousands of years, this was the only game in town. Bartering was totally essential for early civilizations. If you couldn't grow it, hunt it, or build it yourself, your only option was to find someone who could, and then try to figure out what they might want from you in return.
But, while a simple swap sounds nice and easy on paper, the reality, it was, well, kind of a logistical nightmare. Bartering had this one huge fundamental flaw that made life incredibly complicated.
Let's walk through this example we're calling the farmer's dilemma. So imagine you're a farmer and you've got tons of wheat, but your tools are broken and you desperately need new ones. You go out and find a tool maker who has the perfect set of tools. Awesome, right? Well, not so fast. The problem is, the toolmaker doesn't want or need any of your wheat, so your trade is a total bust. Now what do you do? And that, right there, is the core problem in a nutshell. With bartering, you have to find someone who not only has what you want, but who also wants exactly what you have. Economists sometimes call this the double coincidence of wants, and man, finding it can be a huge waste of time and energy. Okay, so clearly this clunky system couldn't last forever. As societies got bigger and more complex, people needed a better way to trade. And what they eventually came up with was a total breakthrough, a revolutionary idea that would literally change the course of human history. And that solution was an incredible invention called money. So what is money anyway? At its core, it's any item, whether it's coins or paper or something else, that everyone in a society agrees has value and can be accepted as payment. It's a universal go-between. You don't have to want the money itself, you just have to want what you can get with it.
So let's check back in with our farmer. With money, his whole dilemma just disappears. Now his plan is beautifully simple. Step 1, he sells his wheat to anyone who wants it, the baker, the local brewer, it doesn't matter, and he gets money. Step 2, he just takes that money over to the toolmaker and buys the tools. Bam, problem solved. Easy.
And this simple little change wasn't just some small improvement. Nope, it was a full-blown revolution. It simplified trade on a massive scale and basically paved the way for the incredibly complex global economy that we all live in today. I mean, just look at the difference when you put them side by side. Bartering, it's messy. It requires that difficult, time-consuming search for a perfect match. But trading with money, it's just clean. It's straightforward and simple because you don't need that direct match anymore. And really, it all boils down to one key word: efficiency. Using money is just way more efficient. It breaks one really difficult transaction into two super simple ones. It simplifies everything. But here's where it gets really interesting. This idea of money hasn't always looked like the coins and bills we have in our pockets today. The concept is actually much bigger and way cooler than just cash. For example, in the past, societies have used all kinds of things as money. We're talking about stuff like bread and even seashells. Can you believe it? As long as everybody in that society agreed that it had value and was willing to accept it, hey, it worked as money.
Okay, so let's do a quick flyby of what we've covered. First, economics isn't some dusty old science. It's happening all around us every day. Second, bartering was our first attempt at trade, but it was super inefficient because of that whole matching wants problem. Third, the brilliant idea of money solved that problem by creating something everyone could agree on. And finally, that one simple idea is what makes our huge, complex modern world possible.
So there's no doubt that the invention of money made our lives way easier and allowed our world to grow in ways we couldn't have imagined. It sparked incredible innovation. But it also leaves us with one last really big question to chew on. Money made trade simple, sure, but what do we lose when everything has a price?